Welcome back to English from A to Z. Today we are doing a deep dive into, well, probably the biggest headache for language learners. Consistency, especially with English listening skills. And we're looking at a technique our sources claim can help you rack up thousands of practice minutes without using up, get this, any of your actual free time.
Yeah, that promise 0 minutes of your time sacrificed, but huge results.
Yeah.
That's really the core mission today. Look, if you feel like you struggle to stick with practice, it's usually not about willpower. It's
Yeah.
it's more logistical. Improving listening takes a long time, hundreds of hours, easily. But people often jump into these methods that are just, well, they're really inconvenient. They demand too much effort, too much dedicated time, and so, they quit. They quit before they see any real progress.
Oh, absolutely. That pattern is so common. You start super motivated, then you burn out fast, and then you feel kind of guilty, right? We've all done it. And the person behind the source material we're looking at, they admit they were stuck in that same loop for years.
Hmm.
So our goal here is pretty ambitious. Give you a system that's so easy to slot into your day, it just happens. The idea is to make it almost impossible not to practice because it's just maximally convenient.
Which, brings us to the key question. How do we actually make sure that practice sticks, like really sticks, even when life gets crazy? We need a system that's basically harder to quit than it is to just keep doing.
Okay, right. Let's unpack that. First, maybe we should talk about what doesn't work. We need to spot those traps, the things that seem productive at first but just lead to burnout. Our sources mentioned two big ones the author personally fell into, these inconvenient traps.
And these are the classic high-effort things people try when they think, okay, I need more discipline. But they're confusing sheer effort with, actual effectiveness over time.
Okay, trap number one. This was the subtitled movie trap. The idea was watch a movie twice. First time, subtitles on so you understand everything. Then right after, watch it again, subtitles off. Really force yourself to listen. Sounds pretty thorough, right?
It does sound comprehensive on paper, but what was the actual experience like? The psychological cost?
The cost. Massive boredom, just soul-crushing boredom. The author said they quit after only the fourth movie because watching the same thing back to back was just so boring.
Right.
They couldn't bring themselves to even start the fifth one, even though they knew theoretically it should be helping.
And that's such a critical point. If a method makes you actively bored, your brain flags it as a chore, you'll find anything else to do instead. It's not a sustainable way to learn through repetition.
Exactly. Then there was trap number two, the transcription trap. This is where you listen to maybe a short audio clip and then try to write down every single word you hear. Great for proficiency, I guess, but the time commitment.
Oh, huge. That takes ages.
Yeah, the verdict was blunt. Too much work. Totally unrealistic if you have, well, a life, a busy schedule.
So if we boil down the lesson from these failed attempts, the main principle for long-term success seems really clear, doesn't it? The method absolutely has to be convenient, frictionless almost. If it demands you find big chunks of extra time, dedicated effort, your precious free time, it's just not going to happen consistently. The method has to work with your existing schedule, not fight against it.
Which finally brings us to the solution proposed. And it's surprisingly simple, just a two-step technique focused entirely on making it easy and sustainable.
Right, and the real magic is how these two simple steps work together.
Okay, step one is about curating the right material. Sounds simple. Download loads of listening stuff onto your phone or whatever device you use. But here's the key detail. What kind of material? The sources stress that the best stuff is where people are just talking naturally, real conversations.
Yes, this is absolutely vital. We need to unpack that difference. See, when you listen to movie dialogue, what the source calls fake English, you're training for clean, perfectly edited speech. It's often written to be clear, easy to follow.
But real life isn't like that?
Not at all. Real conversations are messy. They're full of, people repeating themselves, changing topics suddenly, filler words like and like. Contractions get slurred together. The rhythm is unpredictable. There are interruptions, people correcting themselves. Listening to this real stuff exposes you to the common words people actually use all the time at natural speed. If your goal is to actually understand and talk to native speakers, you have to train your ears on material that sounds like real life, not a polished script.
That makes total sense. Okay, so you've got your phone loaded up with hours of this real messy conversational audio. Now for step two. And this is the part that feels a bit backwards at first, optimizing the timing. The big rule here is do not practice listening in your free time.
Hang on, doesn't that sound wrong? Isn't like focused, dedicated practice always better for learning?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But the argument here is about sustainability. If we relied on carving out dedicated free time, we set ourselves up to fail. Our brain sees it as a choice: study or relax. And relaxation often wins. This technique says, don't make it a choice. Instead, you hijack time that's already spent doing something else.
Exactly. You integrate the listening practice while you're doing another activity, something that needs maybe some physical attention but not much brain power.
Right, like the examples they gave.
Yeah, the classics. Listen while you're commuting, bus, train, walking. Listen while you're stuck in a queue at the supermarket or the bank. Listen while you're exercising, especially things like jogging or cycling where your mind can wander a bit. These are chunks of time you're already spending anyway, often just zoned out. By using that time, the practice becomes almost effortless to maintain. And when it's that easy, you're way more likely to stick with it long enough to see real improvement. It becomes almost inevitable.
Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting. This is the data part. The quantitative comparison that really shows why this convenience thing is so powerful. It's not just about feeling easier, it saves you actual time. Let's compare the new technique with the old school movie method.
Okay, let's look at the numbers. Annual effort versus annual listening exposure for both.
First, the integrated technique results. Let's say you commit to just 30 minutes a day. Maybe 15 minutes on your commute in, 15 minutes on the way back for 1 year. Your total listening time, 10,950 minutes. And crucially, that's 10,950 minutes of real English conversation. And the cost in terms of your free time, zero. Not a single extra minute because you did it during your commute.
Wow. Okay, so that's nearly 11,000 minutes of quality exposure, and it didn't cost you any of your evenings or weekends. That efficiency is it's kind of staggering when you think about it.
Now let's contrast that with the movie method results. The high-effort approach. Let's imagine someone is really motivated. They watch 4 movies a week. Each movie is, say, 100 minutes long.
Okay, but we need to be realistic about the content. In a typical 100-minute movie, how much is actual conversation? The source suggests maybe only half, 50 minutes. The rest is action, music, silence.
Right. Good point. So 50 minutes of actual conversation per movie. If this dedicated learner watches 4 movies a week, that's 208 movies a year. Their total listening exposure to English conversation adds up to 10,400 minutes. And remember, that's mostly the fake, scripted kind of English.
Okay, so what's fascinating there is the total minutes are actually pretty similar, just over 10,000 for both methods. The integrated technique gives slightly more and arguably better quality exposure because it's real conversation. But the difference in the cost to achieve that exposure, that's the jaw dropper.
Absolutely. To get those 10,400 minutes from movies, you had to sit down and watch 208 films.
Mm-hmm.
That means this movie method forced you to spend, wait for it, 20,800 minutes of your actual finite free time over the year. That's over 346 hours you have to actively dedicate, time you could have spent doing other things.
So, connecting the dots. The data really speaks for itself, doesn't it? This simple, convenient technique gives you roughly the same amount, maybe even slightly more, of higher quality real-world listening practice. And it does that while saving you over 20,000 minutes of your free time every year. That comparison just perfectly illustrates why convenience isn't lazy, it's smart. It's the foundation for actually sticking with it long enough to succeed.
It really is the ultimate hack for consistency, isn't it? Improving listening takes time. It takes patience. We all know that. But convenience is the psychological trick that lets you maintain that patience long enough for the results to actually show up. Don't fight your schedule. Don't rely purely on willpower. Integrate it.
Precisely. And knowing this difference, understanding the trap of high-effort, low-return methods versus the power of high convenience, sustainable integration that knowledge gives you the power, you can set up a system that basically guarantees improvement as long as you just keep putting in that small amount of time during your commutes or chores. Remember, it still takes time. Results won't be instant, but they will come if you keep the system running consistently.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? If you really could save over 20,000 minutes a year by using this integrated listening approach instead of, say, forcing yourself to watch movies, how would you spend that massive chunk of recovered time? Would you use it to finally start reading English books and boost your vocabulary, maybe practice speaking more, or something else entirely? Just think about that, all that extra time reclaimed. How could you best use it to push your overall English learning forward? That's something to consider as we wrap up this deep dive.